Hi everyone, I am Dr. Speciosa Twinamasko, and today I want us to learn about the key and very important concept called democracy and democratization. What it is in real world and how do different countries perceive it. It is well known as the election and voting process, but we want to understand today what it entails to say democracy or the process of democracy and how it is applied. Its origin is traced in Greek, of course, as like any other concept, meaning the rule of the poor or the many. For them at that time, they were considering the majority of the people having power to rule their communities, their nations. And now it is changed or it is adopted into the whole world by different countries. And we define it as the power that is in hands of people. The rule of law that is controlled by the majority people, and the power that is practiced in the whole country, the governance and the government is controlled by the people. So it means the rule of the people. So it doesn't stop at that. We also look at the characteristics. How do you realize democracy is at work? One, we look at the participation, the level of participation, the justice that prevail on people who have power, the majority. And we look at how many times are elections made, but we shall not consider only voting and putting people into power. Democracy cuts across all different aspects, including leadership in different organizations. So from political leadership, it goes down to the implementation process of different resources, different organizations. So here we consider three major characteristics of democracy. One, the pluralism, political pluralism and participation. What does it mean? It means that in democracy, there are different sectors, different individuals, and different people who are supposed to participate. For example, the media. Secondly, the civil society organizations and other interested bodies that work to control the democracy process. And then we also look at the separation of power. You know, the government is made of three bodies. So we look at how the judiciary is controlled and how does the government control it. In this case, we are saying in democracy, power is separated. Every section of the controlling body is supposed to work independently, not being influenced. And then lastly, we look at individual suffrage. Here we mean what type of people are involved. So despite all people who are supposed to work or participate in democracy, we say that all adults be above 18 years are supposed to participate in decision making, in voting, and all the activities that democracy require everyone to have, specifically looking at the justice that people deserve and the human rights support or respect. So from there, we move to the democratization. Democratization, as you hear, it is a process of preparing the democracy and its activities. For example, putting policies that guide democracy and having the bodies that can control and implement the democracy or the democratic process of governance. So, for example, in Uganda, we have like putting the constitution. For instance, how many terms should the government or the president be in power? And how many terms should parliamentarians be in power? And who is supposed to come into power? Setting all those rules and policies is the process of democratization. Formerly, we didn't have democracy. We used to have presidents come to power through armed wars or through coups. But we realized that in the process of, like we talked about nationalism last time, in the whole process, we found ourselves coming to democracy and democratization. So that aside, you also need to consider the theories of democracy and democratization. You look at classical, you look at liberal democracy, and this is the one that is practiced in the whole world. Though different countries have them differently, but we consider that as the globalized one. All presidents are supposed to be elected by people. The political parties are supposed to be in place because it is one of the characteristics of democracy. The human rights must be respected in this democratic process. And where other characteristics are not considered, that's where we notice the gaps and the challenges of democracy. I also want you to look at other types of democracy, but most of them are ancient and few countries consider them. So from here, I want you also to consider the countries that you have been in, or your countries of origin. How do you define democracy in this case and democratization? And what do you understand about democratization or democracy after this brief lecture? So this is going to help you to understand the processes. Instead of using this word in general, you look at the processes and the steps that we have taken to be democratic or to use democracy in the governance system of the country. In Uganda or in other countries in Africa, we have seen democracy being practiced indirectly. Sometimes it is very difficult to realize whether democracy is at work. And sometimes you see it working. So all these ideas are supposed to be in practice or be realized in order to make improvements in the implementation of democracy and democratization process. So let us stop here. I have shared notes. I have shared slides with you. You can read, understand, and then send questions in our portal of big blue button or in the discussion forum. Thank you very much. Waiting to hear from you.